Yo, welcome back to the channel, man. Hey, look, this past weekend was a big weekend for boxing. Um, so welcome back, man. This weekend was a big weekend for boxing. We had Gervonta Tank Davis on the card this weekend, Saturday. Look, y'all, I gotta say this, man. Rolly Romero had no business in there with Tank. Rolly Romero had no business in the ring with Tank Davis. Now, boxing, this is good for boxing. I'll say this. This whole situation is really good for boxing because what you need right now in the sport is a villain. I think that it's important that that villain has the prerequisite skill set to even break box office, to even be in the big fights. There can be a villain in boxing, but if he's not good enough to fight against an Errol Spence, a Terrence Crawford, one of these Tank Davis guys, Shakur Stevens, if they're not good enough to fight these guys, we may never see them. We may never see that aspect of this sport where, it's good guys versus bad guy. It's hometown favorite versus this evil boxer who says all kind of reckless stuff about your family. We haven't had that in a while. MMA had Conor McGregor. Rolly Romero, his personality, his salesmanship kind of reminds me of Conor McGregor. A lot less confidence in his voice when he talks. He seems a lot less sure about what he's saying, but at the same time, he's willing to say whatever. And I think that that's what boxing needs. At the same time, Rolly, hey, you got to back that shit up, bro. Rolly, you got to back that shit up, my bro. I mean, I believe Rolly said you can put your mortgage on him knocking out Tank. All I can say is this. When it comes to gambling on boxing, bro, you should definitely just not do it with your heart. You should definitely not do it with your heart. Whenever you gamble on sports or you make a prediction on sports, it literally has to be with your head. It literally has to be factual based. Or, shit like this will come back and bite you in the ass. So, Rolly started off with the guard up high. Then they started playing the jab game. He had his hands out a little bit. I don't know, man. I don't want to see a rematch of that. That didn't need a rematch. That isn't written. And the fact that, if it was anybody other than Tank Davis, I would discredit him saying this. But he literally said after the fight, I need to do more warming up. I need to do more jump rope right before the fight. He was like, well, we warmed up, but, I wasn't doing the full blast jump rope cardio, getting my blood pumping, breaking the sweat type thing. And he was saying that, the whole reason that even Rolly was even able to be in the ring with him in the beginning was because he had to warm up. And you could just literally tell, as the third round came, Tank was on. They were trading, but nothing Romero threw hurt Tank, and he didn't land any shots clean. He may have landed one or two. I do remember him landing one or two shots clean on Tank. That Tank ate. After the fight, they asked Tank if Rolly's power is real. He said, yeah, Rolly's got power. But we all knew that already. This is what people don't understand. When you're a fan, you forget about this aspect. All these guys know each other. All these guys have sparred each other at some point. I mean, it may not have sparred at the peak of their careers, but all of them know what each other have in their bag. So when Rolly's out here talking about he's going to do this and that, it's a lot of dudes that know for sure. Bro, you just talking, man, because everybody in the boxing community knows that ain't you, that you can't do that. And it came back to bite him on the ass. Do I think that he made a name for himself? Hell yeah, Rolly Romero made a name for himself. And that's what boxing is behind on. That's what boxing has fallen behind on. Building brands, building individual brands, regardless of, if it comes from a loss or comes from being outclassed. Build a brand, because at least one thing everybody knows is who Rolly Romero is. Before this fight, even up until, I'd say, the weigh-in and the press conferences and the media day and the workouts, even before all that, people didn't know who Rolly Romero is. I mean, the average casual fan. And, for boxing, that's who you're trying to draw. You're trying to draw those people who previously weren't into the sport. If you like boxing for I grew up watching Evander Holyfield, and to this day, I watch it with the same vigor, the same eagerness that I had when I was a kid towards a big fight or any fight. You know, it's not every day of the week. It's one day out of the week you get boxing. And I think attracting those new fans has a lot to do with individual brands. You see what the NBA has done. The NBA is always first when it comes to innovation and marketing innovation and how they show the aesthetics of the game. They always lead the way, man. And they've understood building individual brands brings the overall brand that much more. You know, it brings much more to the table when you have guys like a Rolly Romero, who, you know, he might not have a lot of wins under his belt, but he lost to Tank Davis, bro. He didn't lose to freaking Joe Schmo. You know what I mean? I ain't no Rolly Romero fan. He was outclassed in the ring. Didn't have no business in there with Tank Davis. But there's a lot of guys that Rolly can fight. You know, that all watching that showed me is there's some guys that Rolly can fight, and it'll be entertaining. It'll be entertaining. And that's, you have to have that part of the sport. Everybody can't be technicians trying not to get hit or not being a bully, fighting off their back foot. We got to have some front foot fighters. We got to have some strike first fighters. We got to have some fighters that don't give a fuck, that will put their jaw on the line, put their body on the line for a win. For a win. Not saying, I mean, obviously the sport is hit, but don't get hit. That's great. But you need guys like a Rolly. You know, he's going to get in there. He's going to throw his elbows at you. And he might get his clock clean, you know, like he did. But, you know, I say that to say this, man. Boxing is in a good place. Boxing is in a great place right now. You have superstars in place. You have your Terrence Crawford. I mean, obviously you have your Canelo. You have your Terrence Crawford. You know, you have your Errol Spence Jr. You have your Shakur Stevenson. You have your David Benavidez. You have a whole bunch of names. But they're all over the place. Boxing is all over the place, bro. You got the super middleweight, the middleweight, the super lightweight, the lightweight, the PBC, the WBA, the WBO. Like, I'm taking from a casual sports fan, not a casual boxing fan, a casual sports fan. It's kind of hard to jump in and know who people are. You know what I mean? There's no, like, boxing shows on during the week that just keep you up to date. I think they tried this HBO boxing show with Max Kellerman, but they can only cover HBO. I mean, it's just like, bro, there's no outlet for boxing to reel in new fans. That's the issue. You got to hope that a person is with a person that knows who Errol Spence Jr. is. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of people who don't know who Errol Spence Jr. or Terrence Crawford is. Outside of boxing, outside of sports, people who don't like sports have no clue who these guys are. That's the issue. That's the issue. Because guess what? You know who LeBron is. You know who Kyrie is. You know who Kevin Durant is. I could go all the way down the list. Even if you don't watch basketball, you know who those guys are. And even if you don't watch football, you know Tom Brady. You know Aaron Rodgers. You know these guys. Even in baseball, you know Mike Trout. You know, there's each sport has guys that you know. Sports like boxing need that. MMA, the UFC has that. The UFC has that. They started that brand building with Conor McGregor. And from there, you know, you have guys. John Jones was great before they cared about necessarily boosting individual brands. That's the downfall. That's the downside of the John Jones era, is that it wasn't right now. You know what I mean? Like, if it was right now, he would be all you would be talking about. I mean, not just MMA fans, but sports fans, period. But boxing has to get back to putting on big, major fights where there is a risk of both guys losing. That's where boxing needs to get back to. All these fights that are built up as possible prize fights, man, they're all tune-ups. I'm watching a whole bunch of tune-ups. You know what I mean? These guys have to get back to fighting the best. We have a lot of guys. We have about 10 guys that need to fight each other. That's a bunch of fights right there for the people. Put these fights together. You know, another thing that's not so good about boxing, or the state of boxing, is, you know, how you have these different factions, you have these different commissions, these different boxing commissions, and, you know, like, it's hard for boxers to just fight each other, man. The more guys get on that Floyd train, that Devin Haney train, that Canelo train, go independent, man. I hope Tank Davis goes independent. I mean, of all people that will understand, it should be Floyd. I don't know if Tank wants to manage himself. He doesn't really seem like the X's and O's type of guy. But as far as being like part of PBO, and I just say like do your own thing, bro. Fight who you want to fight, so that when your fans are asking for a fight, you can do it. When your fans are asking for you to fight a specific fighter, you can do it. That's the problem right there, is that a lot of these guys have fans who are dedicated to them, want to see him fight the best. Then their bosses don't let them fight. They don't let them fight somebody that might bring him an L. When in all reality, that's what makes a great fight great. Either guys can lose, and it would mean a lot if one of the guys lost. That's boxing that I know. That's how it used to be. You didn't have Hagler. You didn't have Hagler having to wait 10 years to fight everybody. You know what I mean? Arturo Gatti, he had to wait. These guys need to fight, man. Like, UFC has figured out a way to do this shit once a month, bro, where they have a fight where it's like, yo, I gotta sit down and watch this, and they don't tell them what can happen. They're mixing up styles, they're mixing up personalities, they're mixing up the bag, bro. And obviously, boxers get paid more, so you want to protect their brand, but their brand is built up. We got to get out of this culture that a dude can't take a loss and still be great or the best at something. You know what I mean? It's the Floyd Mayweather effect, where I'm going to tell you like this. A lot of guys don't want to fight each other because they feel like having one loss on their damn record is going to make them less of a man, less of a boxer, less of a legend. When in all reality, we're going to remember you for who you fought, and how you bounce back from an L. That's how you analyze a legend. There is no legend who never lost. There is no legend who never lost. I don't care, 50-0, whatever. We can find the L on that resume. Yeah, he got cheated in the Olympics, but I'm gonna tell you like this: 50-0, that's not the end of it, man. That's not like what you should aim for as a boxer. Stepping into the boxing game, you shouldn't aim for 50-0. Aim to beat the best, so you can be the best. So there's no debate after. So your 50-0 isn't like, okay, well, he waited to fight this guy until he both were old. Don't do that, bro. Obviously, you have to come up through the ranks, but once you are ranked, once you're in the top 3, once you're in the top 5, I need to see you fighting top 5 opponents. Period. Point blank, period. That's what's missing from boxing. That's what the game needs. I feel like that's how you expand it out to a broader range of people, is you have to offer more. There has to be more. Okay? There has to be more. I think that everybody understands kind of the surface of boxing and, how they go about building up their brand. But it's kind of weird to me. Like, it's like they try to build up boxing. They won't build up a superstar too much. Like, while you're watching the fight, sure. While you're watching the fight, oh my God, this guy, he's amazing. Hell, he does this, that. But Monday through Friday, you don't hear shit about the guy. Or you have to go to your little, Fight Hype or ES News. You got to go to this specific niche website to just keep up to date with these guys. So boxing isn't doing the absolute best they can, I don't think, at expanding the sport and grabbing a larger fan base. But guys like Tank Davis, he's mysterious, man. He don't say much. You wonder where he's getting the power from. He doesn't look physically imposing. He's a really small guy, but he gets it done. And I've seen him get it done against Cruz, who put him to the test. Rolly didn't put him to the test. Cruz put him to the test. And that's what you want to see, man. In any sport. But because this is a solo sport where you're judged off how you do, not how a whole team does around you, you got to get out there and want to take risk. That's why I applaud Canelo. Obviously stepping up to 165, 168. Obviously fighting Bivol in that class at that size wasn't in his best interest, as far as like not taking an L. But dude was like, I'm gonna do it, man. If I win, it's one of the biggest wins of my career. If I lose, I just go back to where I was at, or I reconfigure. It's not a big deal, man. Losing sucks. Nobody loves to lose. But you have to. I mean, damn, Michael Jordan lost. Nobody even wants to debate who's the GOAT in basketball. Michael Jordan played for 14 years, had 6 rings. Okay, he took some L's, bro. What are these boxers doing? Yo, if we don't get Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence next, then I know something. Boxing is doomed. If we can't get Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford soon, boxing is doomed. Tell you that right now. But we've got a big fight coming up, man. Big fight coming up. This Devin Haney versus Kambosos fight, I've been waiting for. I can't wait. I think Devin Haney is gonna get out of there clean as a whistle. I don't think you can hit Devin Haney the way you want to unless he wants to trade with you. I don't think he's gonna be there. I think Kambosos is gonna see him, and then when he throws, Haney's gonna be gone. That's just how he rolls, bro. He's quick. I don't know if he's Shakur Stevenson quick. I don't think he's that quick, but he's one of the quickest in the game. He's like a cat. He has that cat-like reflexes. Big head. He has a big head. So it's going to take a lot to knock him out anyway. But, usually a larger size head means a larger target. But when the target is moving faster than you can move, doesn't mean anything, man. One thing I will say is this. This whole shit with Devin Haney's dad not being able to come overseas to Australia, that's a bigger deal than he's letting off, bro. That's a bigger deal than he's letting off. I promise you that's a bigger deal than he's letting off, because when you've been dealing with the same guy being your dad, training you, now you're in the biggest fight of your life. Let's not poo-poo this fight for Devin Haney. This is one of the biggest fights he'll ever have, bro. He'll ever have. And for him not to have his guy there, you can't poo-poo how big of an impact that is. I don't give a damn who else he got. Bro, your daddy trains you and your daddy can't come. Is this a sign? Like, I don't know, man. Maybe it'll be something that changes, by the weekend. It'll be something that changes, and he'll end up making it to Australia, and the betting lines will change. Sometimes stuff like that happens. And with basketball, they use injuries like that. A guy will get injured the game before, and then he'll be listed as doubtful, while the betting odds are a certain number. And then the day of the game, they'll come back and say, oh, yeah, he's good to play. He's going to play. Now, all of a sudden, the lines have changed. Now, all of a sudden, the odds have changed. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously, that's a little reach to say that, because, man, I can't sit here and act like, as much as I think Haney is going to wipe the floor with Kambosos, I can't sit here and poo-poo the fact that his daddy's not going to be there, bro. Because, if his daddy wasn't such a focal point, a key element to what he was doing, he would have chose somebody else. He could have had some of the top trainers in the world, who obviously his dad is one of those. But, if it wasn't about him and his dad's relationship and how he receives communication from his dad wouldn't be his damn trainer. You know what I mean? Kambosos coming off of that Teofimo Lopez win, man, he's cocky. Haney says that he's just an actor. When you gonna end the act? When you gonna end the act? When you gonna stop acting? And then Kambosos calls him a snitch for freaking telling him about Teofimo Lopez's weaknesses. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you're a snitch for that. He's not Teo's friend. Haney and Kambosos were friends, so he was telling Kambosos that about Teo as a friend, not snitching. But hey, yeah, if I want to give you the edge to win, I'll give you the edge. Now this guy comes back and calls Haney a snitch. Man, this guy is retarded, bro. Kambosos is about to get that head even mushier. I swear. Because unlike Teo, Devin Haney's not about to stand there. Devin Haney's not about to stand and trade with you, dog. Devin Haney is not about to stand in the middle of the ring on his front foot. He's not, bro. He's not. That's just not what Devin Haney's about to do. Devin Haney's going to be on his bicycle. He's going to fight off his back foot. And then, he's going to step in, pop, 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 step out. Step in, pop, 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 step out. He's going to have his head moving. He's going to be on 100. I expect Haney to be sharp. We'll talk more about it later. Can't wait for the weigh-in, the press conference, all that stuff's coming up later this week. Yo, big month ahead in sports, in the sport of boxing. Big month ahead. I just hope that Steel City Interactive and ESBC and those guys, man, what are y'all doing? We don't have Errol Spence. We don't have Tank Davis. There's guys missing from that game. And that doesn't even matter because I'd rather have the game than have those guys in it. I would have been happy if they just released the game with all fictional characters on it and just make it. You can still make it realistic, real to life. Just use fictional characters and we would have been playing the damn game. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna get on ESPC right now. I'm shit is blowing my mind with that game right now. How little material we're getting for it. You know what I mean? How little information we're getting. Now, obviously, it has some guys. They flew some guys out that got to experience it. But what about the people who didn't get to experience it? You know what I mean? Anyway, we'll talk about that later, yo. Appreciate y'all coming back and yo, if you're still here, man, go ahead and subscribe and like because obviously you like the content and I'm gonna keep it coming. So, yo, don't forget Haney Kambosos this weekend. It's gonna be big, yo. Holla at me. Respect.